Welcome to the Bridge Podcast. This is your host, Emma Coffman, and y'all, it is episode 1. Now, you might be wondering what exactly the Bridge Podcast is for. Why are we here to begin with? Well, like the name suggests, we are here to try to bridge the gap between urban and rural communities. A lot of people just don't even know how, where, and why their food and fiber is produced the way that it is. So what we do is, instead of bringing you into a boring podcast studio with lights and cameras and microphones, we know that you can't always get to the farm. So we are trying to bring the farm to you. That is the whole goal. So we travel around across the United States and internationally, where we go to different livestock operations, manufacturers, producers, from fashion designers to the people that are plowing and putting seeds in the ground themselves. We want to show you all different aspects of agriculture because there's a lot that goes into it that I don't think actually gets shown, and consumers have absolutely no idea. In fact, I would say that there is a lot of misinformation, fear-based marketing, trying to sway the consumer to make a certain purchasing decision. And they're playing off the ignorance, and it's not consumers' fault. We've removed agriculture out of the education systems. And if you are born and raised in an urban development, why and how could you get access to the rural and agricultural way of life? Now, this is a production of the Double E Ranch Advocacy. Now, what that is Double-E, Ranch Advocacy. Check out our website. There is a resource page full of information as well as an interactive map. So if you hear and see a producer that has a product or service that you would like to get directly from them, you can actually get their contact information on our website. Y'all be sure to like and follow on all social media platforms. Again, the big key takeaway here is visualization. We do take the audio and we'll put it up on some podcast networks so that way you can listen along while you're driving. But if you really want to see how your food is produced, I encourage you to check out our YouTube channel and check us out on social media. Now, our first guest is just, I think this is absolutely poetic. So, Sherman Brown with Summerfield Farms in Virginia. He was actually my very first customer with my very first job right out of the gates of college. Did I think I was going to end up in Virginia? Absolutely not. I never envisioned myself in Virginia. I mean, shoot, I never even stepped foot in Virginia until my very first day on the job. So this was really exciting. Sherman and his family are family to me at this point, and they really took care of me while I was out there. So when I came back for a visit, it just seemed fitting that they would be also the very first episode. So I hope y'all enjoy, and without further ado, let me introduce to you Sherman Brown. Welcome to the Bridge Podcast, hosted by Emma Coffman and W Ranch Advocacy. We're here in Independence, Virginia. Now, what's really cool about this is, Sherman, you were my very first customer and my very first person that I actually met when I used to take a nutrition job here. I think it was like day 4 or something on the job. Yeah, and it was here on this exact farm. So now that we're back here, Sherman, can you tell us a little bit about what y'all are doing here and just what kind of operation y'all are running?
Yes, in 2017, a friend of mine bought this place, and we got 900 sheep and 100 goats, which the goats didn't work out too good. But
what kind of goats did y'all have?
Boer goats.
Boer goats, okay.
But anyway, long story short, with him, he got in financial trouble, had to sell the farm. So Summerfield Farm bought the farm and kept me on here to run the sheep. So our numbers are down to about 300. We're going to try to get back up to 500 and see where it goes from there.
There you go.
This little group out here is mainly young sheep that have their first time mamas, so their lambing percents weren't as good as we want. We'd like 130. We'd like to be 170 or 80.
And what is y'all's synchronization program like when it comes to your breeding? Is it just natural turnout and you're just letting natural cycles? Do y'all do any kind of stimulation?
No kind of stimulation. We try to put out some tubs to try to flush them prior to putting the rams in.
Okay.
We leave the rams in for 34 days. Pull them out. We wait 30 days or 45 days in ultrasound. If we have a large enough number that has not bred, then we put the rams back in and give them one more shot.
Okay.
If that don't work, then they get to go somewhere
Then they go
else.
somewhere else.
So we try to keep minerals out all the time. You know, we check them daily, and then we try to keep good grass in front of them and rotate them daily in different paddocks. For wintertime, they'll be eating pickled alfalfa hay and second cutting hay that we've made here on the farm.
And for those who don't know what pickled hay is, what is that?
You cut the hay, you let the moisture level get down to a certain level, and then you bale it and wrap it in plastic. And then in about 35 to 40 days, it ferments. And when it ferments, then the protein level is higher and it's moist, so they can digest it better.
For people who don't know the difference between the black-headed and the white-headed sheep, what makes these sheep different than other breeds that people typically see? And then what's the difference between the white and the blackheads?
The whiteheads or Dorpers, some of these are Katahdins. You'll see different colors on some of them, some brown and stuff. We used to have straight Dorper sheep, which were blackheads and whiteheads. But now we've got a little bit of Katahdin in here, so you're going to see a little bit of color of everything.
Perfect. And now what's the difference between hair sheep and wool sheep for people who don't know?
The hair sheep, they shed off in the summertime and the springtime on their own for the most part. A few of them you have to help trim out across the top of their backs. Wool sheep you have to shear every year and then try to sell the product to someone that can make clothing or something out of it.
Cool.
And we do have a flock of both, which you'll see later.
Do you like the wool sheep or the hair sheep better?
I like the growth rate of the wool sheep better because they can grow out faster than the hair sheep. I like the hair sheep in the sense that you don't have to shear them. And their ability to avoid parasites in the hair sheep is pretty daggone good.
All right, so one of the big things that I had to learn was this thing called fescue that you've got here in Virginia.
Yep.
How would you describe fescue to people who don't have that kind of forage?
If you don't have it on your place, don't get it on your place. Fescue can cause a lot of issues with them not having milk, with the sack that the lambs are in being thick that they can't get out of. And it also can cause them to abort at certain times if the microbes in that fescue is at a certain level. It could cause them to abort their lambs.
So what kind of forage are you planting anything out here outside of alfalfa?
We do. We put in clover and orchard grass, and to try to drown out the fescue. So you know, hopefully we've got it under control here on the sheep farm. On the cattle farm, it's everywhere.
Okay.
It don't seem to bother the cattle like it does sheep and horses are probably a lot worse than sheep.
Yeah. In what way?
Pregnant mares, they won't have any milk. The afterbirth will be so thick, yeah. It takes about 45 days. If you've got a mare that's in fold 45 days before she folds, you need to put her up and feed her alfalfa and grain to get that out of her system so that she can have the colt and have milk.
I did not know that.
Yep.
I did not know that. Huh.
Yeah, don't get me wrong now, fescue is a good wintertime grass because once it starts frosting on it, something changes about it, the animals will eat it and get along very well with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I remember we were at your place, and what was one of those things that you give your sheep that was almost like a treat?
Oh, the animal crackers.
Animal
Yes.
crackers?
Yep. My wife still feeds our sheep animal crackers, so they all come up for their little treats.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit on so Virginia gets a lot more moisture than some of the western states here in the U.S.
Yes.
What are the benefits, but also the downsides of getting that much moisture?
The benefit is that we can graze these little paddocks, and grass rebounds really quickly by the time the sheep make their circle and get back to it. The downside is if you leave them in here too long, then the parasite load goes really, really high because of all the moisture. Out west, they don't have parasite problem because they have to travel so far. They're not eating in the same place probably for weeks.
So do y'all have a problem with foot rot?
We do not.
Okay.
We try to keep them moving, and then every time they lamb, they get feet trimmed, and that seems to be working very well for us so far.
That's
It's
good.
one time a year.
Can you explain to people who don't know what foot rot is, what exactly that is?
It's a fungus that gets in under the hoof, and it will eat all the tissue out from under the hoof, and then it just falls off. So if you catch it early enough, you can trim it out and put some copper tox on it, and give it some air where it can get air in there. Then it'll go away.
There you go.
Or you got a foot bath you can run them through and try to keep it at bay if you've got problems in your sheep.
There you go. So what are y'all doing with your nutrition program for once you start weaning? What's your weaning program?
We're going to wean these lambs off at 60 days of age from the last one. We'll put them on a Purina Feed DX30 and feed them till they get up to about 75 pounds, and then we'll sell them.
Okay.
The reason we want to do that, we want to get this group, get the lambs off so they can fall back in next time we breed the other group.
Awesome.
We don't want 2 or 3 groups. We like to have them all as one.
That's right. And why is that?
It's too much work.
I was going to say uniform crop, but yeah.
We'll have a bigger lamb crop to sell at one time versus, trying to keep them all separate. Like now we've probably got 15 paddocks here, and I'm going to have to use 3 of them for 3 different groups of sheep. And once we can get them all back to one, and then they can all rotate together.
So when you got the management side of sheep, obviously there's some upsides and drawbacks to raising sheep versus cattle. You're running both.
We're running both, 2 separate farms.
And it's Black Angus you're running?
They're mixed.
Mixed? Okay, so just commercial.
Red pole bulls.
Okay.
Over a mixture of Angus and Hereford cross cows.
Okay.
And then
why that combination?
John, the owner, he likes the heritage breed. It's like our Clun Forest sheep, they're a heritage breed. Mm-hmm. So he likes the red pole bulls because they are a heritage breed. And we are getting more and more keeping replacements. So our herd is getting more and more red than they are black.
Okay. Do you have Cluns here on the property?
Mm-hmm, I do.
Can we go see those?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. I am so excited. These sheep, you were the first producer I ever met with these Clun Forest sheep. They are nothing like I've ever seen before.
Yep.
They crack me up, but I'm excited.
Yep. We'll ride the buggy up there and we'll show you those.
Awesome.
This is some dry hay that we've put up here, and then the white tube is wet hay from the alfalfa.
That's what you called pickled hay?
Pickled hay, yep.
Perfect.
Dry hay here.
Uh-huh.
Ouch. It looks a little rough right here, but after when you take this plastic off and start to roll it, it'll go down about ½ inch or an inch, and then it's just real pretty hay.
Almost really bright colored like this right here.
Mm-hmm. Can't hardly get in it.
That means you did your job right.
But see, it changes colors dramatically.
Okay. And then this is what you call the pickled hay.
This is the pickled hay, the white tube. Yep.
So for those who don't know the terminology difference, what's the difference between the wrap on this and the wrap on there?
Okay, this is net wrap on these dry bales. The wet bales also have net wrap to hold the hay together till we get the plastic on. So once you take the plastic off, you still have to take the net off.
There you go.
Yeah. Cooler that we keep our processed lamb meat in. And we do sell to individuals, and we'll take it and have it processed and bring it back here, and then they'll come here and pick up their processed meat.
Why would one want to have lamb versus beef?
It's a totally different taste, and it's a good holiday meat.
Nice.
Yes, it is cold in here. There's the processed meat. It is processed through a USDA inspector. So there's a government inspector that inspects everything that they do down there, so we are allowed to sell it to individuals. Otherwise, we can't sell it to individuals if it's not government inspected.
Yeah, so let's talk about that real quick. Is when you're talking about farm to table type of operations, I think a lot of people get nervous about the food safety aspect.
Right.
How much do you know about that?
That's the reason we take it to a government inspected place, so that we feel comfortable that it's been taken care of like we did. And they've got to guarantee if there's something wrong with it, then the inspector's gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So buy local.
Buy local.
So if you were to buy a sheep from you, what all would a person get?
You would get, out of a 75-pound lamb, after processing, you'll get about 35 pounds of meat. And so you'll have lamb chops, you'll have ribs, you'll have roast. And if you want to eat the organs, we'll bring those back also, the heart and the kidneys and stuff.
Do you eat hearts and kidneys?
I don't, but there is some in here. Or supposed to be. Kidney.
I'll be dang. Do you have a lot of people that eat it and request it?
We do, and there's the heart.
Huh.
So yes, some people request it, others don't want it. So if the ones that don't want it, we just give them to the ones that do want it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So which one is that?
This is, it's a loin chop.
Beautiful. So how long have y'all been doing the custom orders for the lamb meat?
About 3 years now.
Really?
Yeah.
And for those who don't know the difference between lamb and sheep meat, what is the difference?
One is mutton and one is lamb, and if it's
Yeah.
over a year old, it's a mutton.
And what's the flavor profile difference? Because there's a difference there.
There's a difference. I don't like mutton, but I love lamb.
What is, okay, for me, mutton tastes like lanolin.
Yes.
And for those who don't know what lanolin is,
it is the oil that's in the wool on the sheep.
and how do we use that as consumers? Not so much nowadays. I think we're starting to see more people use natural resources again, but lanolin has been used for a lot of different things.
It's really good on leather, to condition leather, and because it waterproofs it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why on the Dorpers, there's almost like this crusty coating on the top of that wool cap that they've got,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it wicks away moisture.
Moisture, right?
And protects them from wind.
Yep. It
Yeah.
is.
Perfect. Awesome. Let's go check out some sheep.
Yeah.
Hey Sherman, so first of all, this is a beautiful barn. I love that it's fully enclosed, but you've got some lambing pens that are set up quite differently. Can we talk about that real quick?
Yes. So when we lamb the sheep out, they're outside,
Yep.
and we take the little buggy, and we got a little trailer. We put the lamb up in the trailer, then the mamas jump in and they get a free ride to the barn. So we put them in here, and we'll leave them in here, make sure they're nursing, make sure mama's got milk, all this good stuff. The next day, mama gets her feet trimmed, the lamb gets his vaccinations, and then if everything is good, then they go over to the bigger pens,
Okay.
and they get other sheep go in with them, so it's a gathering pen so they can all play. So they stay here for 2 or 3 days before we turn them outside.
And what's the purpose behind doing this more intense management protocol versus just letting them pasture out or lamb out in the pasture?
A lot of times if a ewe has twins or triplets, if she gets up to take off, the other two may be asleep, and then she's 100 yards away, another sheep comes by and the babies follow that sheep off, which is not the mama. Then by the time they ever get back together, she don't want anything to do with them.
Right.
So we put them in here, and if they got twins, they may stay in this little pen for 3 days. That way they've got bonding time. So when we go from here to over here, and we put another set of twins in there, they know how to go find mama.
Yeah.
So they stay in here a couple of days. Then when they go out in the big pasture, they can know mama's holler, and they just run right to them. And
There you go. Awesome. And then, so you've got a bigger section back here that, what's the purpose behind that larger section?
The larger section back here is if we're going to be lambing in February for the wool sheep. So if we're having nasty weather, we'll lock them back here, and we'll have hay bales set in there for them. We've got a waterer in there. So we can just close the doors and let nature do whatever it's going to outside, but then our lambs are safe in here.
Perfect.
Yep. And if the weather's good, then we'll open the door, let them come and go.
Biosecurity wise, what is y'all's protocol here
Or as
for lambing?
whenever we clean a pen out, we put it in the compost pile. We put lime down, it's burnt lime, and try not to use that pen again for 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
So that's the reason we have 4 rows of these things set up, so we can, today's sheep come in this pen, tomorrow's sheep are in there, and so on and so forth till these are cleaned out, and then they have nobody in them for 3 or 4 days. So that gives any liquids time to dry up and the lime to kill any germs and that type of stuff.
And what does lime do?
It kills the bacteria that may be starting something that the next lamb comes in, will go through its navel cord and cause it to be sick.
Mm. Speaking of navel cord, can you talk about what that thing's behind you is?
Yes, this is an iodine cup that we, as soon as the lambs come in here, they get their navels dipped in iodine. So it helps it dry up faster so that they don't get any bacteria up in it.
Perfect.
And we put these little gates in the corners with heat lamps. So the lambs, when they're in here, they've got a safe place to go get away from other sheep that are mean to them.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, there's that bar.
Yeah, the bar at the bottom. Then we turn the light on, and they automatically just go to lay the light. So they're safe away from all the mama sheep while they're in here.
And this is how long have y'all been doing the corner with the heat lamps?
We started last year. We used to have the heat lamps just hanging in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, the mamas would go lay under it and wouldn't let the babies in. Then we got to having a couple that got laid on and it killed them. So we decided to come up with this so they got their own safe place to be away from the bigger sheep.
And it's working out really well?
We haven't lost one since. We
nice.
Put them in there.
Who's your friend?
This is a twin calf that come from the cow side of the farm. So we raise him on the bottle, and sometimes he gets a little attitude. Every morning as soon as I get out of the truck, he hears my truck and he starts hollering. Come feed me. King system. We can bring the sheep into here. They go in the tub just like they do with cattle, and then you can push them right down the lane. And you get them in the turntable, and if you need to flip them over to trim their feet, you can do that. Or it's got little gates on the side that you can open up for preg chicken, and I'm on the wrong side to show you that.
And then you got your sort gate right here.
Yep, you got the sort gate on the end, which lets one go that way and one this way.
There you go.
And open and close, just like a big cattle working thing. Close it up. Here's your little side door if you need to get in to work on something in here while the sheep's here, or let a baby nurse or whatever.
Okay. Can you show how the turntable works?
Yes, ma'am. You rotate them up.
There you go.
Catch them, and you pull this, and you can get right in here to trim their feet.
And do these have load cells on them?
They do.
Nice.
Yep. Need to turn it off, matter of fact.
So why would it be important for you to track the weights?
We bring the lambs through here mainly. We don't really weigh the ewes or the rams that much, but we bring our lambs through.
Okay.
We try to get numbers to see how well they're gaining weight.
Okay.
And we'll mark certain ones with a crayon, so we know, okay, we checked you, and in 2 weeks we're going to check you again to see how much you've gained, so we know we're getting the same animal back on the scales.
There you go.
And then we can tell what we're doing.
On the nutrition side, genetic side, both?
Nutrition side mainly.
Okay.
Yeah, if we don't really have a good way to track, since we put so many rams in, that one ram is doing better than the other, but we do have a system. The ear tags in all of our sheep have got a chip in it, so we can scan them with the machine, and we put in comments. If we have comments while they're in the lambing pen, one side's not milking, quarter's not doing what it's supposed to be, we can put that comment in, and that way when we scan her next time, it shows up that she's had issues.
And what kind of system are you using to track that?
Let me go get it. Our Sherwell sheep tracking machine.
Okay.
And if you want to go to sheep productions, you can go to there, and you can go to the lambing part, and then if you got a ewe standing there, you can scan her, and then you can add the lamb and the lamb's number, and then put any comments in if she's had any issues, or if she's had several babies and you want to make a comment that she's a good mama and had triplets, you put that in.
So did you name it? Sure. Well.
Sure. No, this actually comes from the UK.
Interesting. So are the tags special, or are they just
They are.
standard? EID tags.
They've got a little chip in them.
So these are just 840 tags. They're just
Okay.
really small.
Well, okay, that one, actually that lamb died, and because I scanned the tag and it's asking me to put in the cause of death, what we done with it after we done it, and its tag number.
Interesting. So it doesn't beep at you or anything, or is it just that
No.
little tick?
Just a little tick.
Interesting.
Yep. So then, when we go through, we can run a report off on the computer. It will give us a sheet that looks like, let me show you one.
How long does that battery last on the scanner?
We keep it charged on the charger all the time.
Okay.
Said I was going to show you one. So this is a report that we can run off that will show you how many you have, what you've done. And so this is telling us that we had 70 ewes at this point go through. And you can put down the sex of the lamb on here. And we put down white dorper or dorper.
How much are those ear tags? Are the ear tags themselves also, it says US on it, so is it here in the United States, or is they also bought abroad?
We have to buy them in the UK, and then we have to give them our farm number, and then they'll put it on and ship them to us.
Interesting. Cool.
I can show you a whole box of them.
Yeah.
This is how we get them from the UK. It's got our farm number and all this stuff on, with the little chips in it.
Oh, you do hear it, yeah.
Yep, so that's how we keep track of them. A little bit of everything.
So if someone was starting their sheep operation for the first time, what would you say are the must-haves in a beginner medicine cabinet?
Medicine cabinet. You need to get you one of these little baby booger getters.
Okay.
So when the lamb comes out, it's got all that stuff in its mouth. You can just clean all the liquid out of its airway so it can breathe. But you got to have one of these.
What else?
You need BOSI for selenium. You need some powdered colostrum and powdered milk.
What does BOSI do?
BOSI is, where we live here, our ground is selenium deficient. So if they don't have enough selenium, their joints might not work right. They may not get up and stand up as often, so that helps that problem.
Perfect.
And this stuff right here, if you get a sheep that is not producing enough milk like you think she should be, you can barely get just a dribble or two out. Give her 5 cc's of this today. Tomorrow, give her 3 cc's, and then down to 1, and she'll have all kinds of milk production.
So what is that?
This stuff is used for horses to help produce milk.
And
I don't know exactly all it does. I just know it works really well on sheep.
historically, people usually are advised to have given maybe a milk letdown shot like oxytocin.
Oxytocin, yep.
So
that will work some of the times. So sometimes if we can only get a drop, we give both.
Okay.
And because the oxytocin works pretty well immediately, so if the lamb is not actually up there nursing, it's not going to get anything. It's going to miss the opportunity because they give it to dairy cows. A lot of dairy cows won't let their milk down at milking time, so they give them a shot, put the milkers on, then they milk out.
Interesting.
So this stuff works really good. It's a little expensive, but it works really well.
Perfect. Okay, so Virginia grows quite a few things that I didn't really know about. One of which is your Christmas trees. So do you all grow Christmas trees here on the property, or?
We don't grow any here on this property.
Okay.
We're just cattle and sheep.
Okay.
On this farm, there is a lot of Christmas trees in this area.
Yeah.
From one of the bigger ones is Bottomley's Enterprise. So there is Christmas trees and cattle and sheep is what's in Grayson County.
So for people who don't know, what is a Clun Forest sheep?
It's a heritage breed of sheep that came from the Netherlands.
Okay.
And they are some in the United States, but most of them in the United States are all kin to each other.
Okay.
We don't have that many selections of bloodlines.
Gotcha. Now, why Clun Forest?
They are a really good meat sheep.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Their pelvis area is bigger than most other sheep, so they have lambs very easily.
Okay.
They are good milkers, and they produce a lot of wool. So they're a good all-around sheep for whatever you may need.
So, what's the micron average for the wool? And micron is the diameter of the fiber, individual fiber of the wool. The smaller the micron, the finer the wool.
Yep.
Okay, that's where your cashmere comes from, is really small microns versus a larger micron is where the wool that is getting used for maybe more commercial products.
Yep. I don't know exactly what the numbers are on these. John, the owner, has had some spin into wool,
Really?
to yarn.
Huh.
So we do have some of that.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Alright, so one of the more distinctive characteristics about these sheep, you can talk about that.
If you'll notice, all of these sheep are black-faced with pointy ears. And some of them, when you get up close enough, look like they are bug-eyed. Now, the one looking at us right here is a cross between a Suffolk and a Clun. It's not a true Clun.
Okay. So then your Clun is more up here?
Yeah, the pointy-eared one's right up there standing. There's just a few ewe lambs that we kept that were crosses that they were pretty good-looking sheep, so we kept them. Hair sheep will, so they just like to flock together.
They like to hang out, huh?
Yep.
There's a good one right there.
Yeah.
So you kept the tails on these. Can you talk a little bit about why you would want to keep versus dock tails?
The owner of the farm left those on. I do not like the tail on the sheep. To me, they don't look like the sheep. It causes way too much trouble. You could get fly strike and all this stuff.
What is fly strike?
When they get really nasty on their butts from loose manure, and then the flies get on it and lay their eggs, and then next thing you know, you got maggots crawling all around them up in them.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, they're just spooky as the dickens, these sheep are.
Sure is pretty up here, though.
It is pretty right here. You can see a little bit of everywhere. Yeah, and there you can see a lot of the Christmas trees that are in the area.
So do you buy Christmas trees?
I do not. My neighbor lets me get one.
That's nice.
So I'm just gonna cut one. Yeah. See, I'm moving the hair sheep from down there over to there because of all that grass tomorrow.
There's some species, depending on which one it is, that if you have different breeds within that species, they will not cross. However, there's some that will. Do the hair sheep, if you turn the rams in with the cluns,
they will all cross.
They will all cross.
Yep. And we did experiment with that to see how the lambs would grow out, and crossing the Clun Forest ram on the hair sheep, that mixture did not grow too good.
Were they just stunted?
They just basically looked like they were stunted, yes.
So for your health management, what is your deworming protocol? Do you do fecal score measurements?
We'll, every 45 days, we run them through the working facility, and we check their eyelids, the Famacha score.
And what is that an indicator of?
It's an indicator. If their eyelids are really good and red, then they have no parasites, no blood-sucking parasites. If they're pink or light colored, then they do have, so you need to deworm them.
Okay.
So that way we're not deworming everybody and everybody immune to our worm medicine. And so that way you're just treating the ones that truly need it.
Yes. And so for those who don't maybe understand what is parasite resistance, what causes parasite resistance?
Like on the young lambs through the summertime, you have to deworm them pretty regular because they don't have an immune system.
Okay.
Our older hair sheep out here, we ran them through this summer, and we only dewormed 2 out of the whole flock.
Oh, wow.
So when they came back through and lambing in that group over there, we only had 1 that was dewormed. Her eyelids were okay, but she had a nasty butt, so we went ahead and gave her a dose of dewormer.
Talk about predator control. What do y'all do to help mitigate that?
We have 2 donkeys in here. I don't know.
Here they are.
Yep, they haven't proved to me yet that they actually kill anything. But we do have good fencing, and if we get coyotes coming in, we've got a guy that comes in and traps them, and we try to take out the one that done the killing.
Yeah.
We don't take out everybody, so we leave the carcass there and let him come back and feed on it the next night, and then we take that particular one out.
Really? I
And-
didn't know you did that.
Yeah, so, we've been doing that, and
Has that been working?
working excellent.
Really?
We've not had any trouble up here in 10 months. Yeah.
Huh.
So it's working, and that come from the state guy was telling us if we have one get killed, cover it with the tarp for the daytime. He'll come in the afternoon with his night vision, take the tarp off, and shoot the one that actually killed it, because that animal knows where to come back to eat.
Interesting.
So we've been doing that, and we've not had any trouble in 10 months.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. High enough.
The what's a... Sorry, say that again.
The llama is
Okay.
a really good alert animal,
Okay.
because their head is so high that they can see stuff coming before all the sheep do, and they will actually alert the sheep so they know to get out of the way. So they don't really protect them, they just
Yeah.
alert them that something's coming.
Do they hear better than sheep?
Probably because their head is like 4 foot higher in the air or 5 foot higher
Yeah,
in the
they have
air.
less things obstructing. Okay.
So they alert them, and they'll either run or get eat. So
And y'all are a little untraditional that you don't use guard dogs.
no, we do not. We did try them,
Uh-huh.
but they would not. They learned how to climb over the gates. They didn't get out under the fence. They would just climb over the gates and go visit the neighbors. So we gave that up.
They said, see ya.
Yep, I'm done.
Working 9 to 5.
Yep.
Interesting. So when did y'all cut the dogs out?
The previous owner, whenever John bought the place, we decided we didn't want dogs because they was all the time going and getting them. So we didn't have any in here to start with.
Okay. Interesting.
So no more
Good
dogs.
things, yeah.
See, they would climb up that gate and come right out the top railing.
I'll be dang.
Yep,
Huh.
it's pretty slick.
There's your donkeys. I've heard that too, though, that the donkeys are almost like more aggressive.
They are. We've come in and maybe have a sheep that had been killed overnight, and the donkeys will have all the sheep in the opposite corner of the field. So now whether they're sacrificed that one to protect the rest of them, or if they just all ran over there, I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's happened several times.
I think I know the answer to this, but which one do you like better, sheep or cattle?
Sheep?
Yeah. And I told you this story. I started my ag career in the sheep side, and then it just
Right.
kind of expanded into cattle because there's a lot more cattle operations than sheep. But if I had to pick only one to deal with the rest of my life,
Sheep.
shh, don't tell anybody that.
Yeah, right. This little trailer here is what we take out to the lambing field, and we open this thing up, and this thing is not hinged tight for a reason, because sometimes we have one that don't want to get in, so I can just leave this hanging like that and it stays open. So the mama, I put the babies in this little basket and set it right up in here. The mamas 90% of the time just jump in the trailer and we go. If we have one that don't, I leave the door open and mama can see the babies and she just follows us on in anyway.
There you go. And is this where you're keeping your feed at too?
Yep, that's where we store our grain that we use during lambing and to feed the lambs when we're weaning them off of their moms. That's a 9-ton grain bin.
Now, was this the trailer, was that your invention, or is that pre?
It was my invention. When we started lambing out here, and we'd have to walk out there and bring a sheep back, and walk out and bring a sheep back. I had this trailer at home, so I go home and get it and throw sides on it, and so they've been getting a free ride ever since.
So so you've got the Sure Well, which is the scanner. Now we have the Sure Catch.
That's right. Yep, you sure catch. And it works very well. It wouldn't hurt if it had smaller tires so they don't have to jump so high to go in, but when these tires dry rot, we'll get some more.
There you go.
Here's one of our mineral feeders that we use that will swivel and put minerals in it so the rain don't get it wet and ruin it. And we have to move those with the sheep. We need 2 or 3 out with each group of sheep. So
Why do y'all feed mineral?
try to help their overall body health. And then we found we like to move paddocks when we're feeding hay and not unroll it on the ground so much. So we bought those feeders like that cradle down there that they eat from the bottom of the hay. And it's got skids on it, so if I need to move them out of this paddock because it's getting muddy or nasty, I can just hook the tractor to it and drag it to another paddock if it's still got hay in it. And the sheep have been scratching their backs on that when it was up here, and they've been scratching their back, and it's pushed it all
And
down
push it
there.
down there?
Yeah.
Why do Dorpers tend to scratch themselves?
Some of them don't shed off the wool on their back as good as other ones, and the hair that is on there, well, I said wool, but it's hair. The hair that is on there is very thick, so on a warm day like today, they get pretty sweaty and itchy, and you'll find them rubbing on everything. So I think we probably should build a little bar, like a hitching post thing out in the field, just high enough for them to walk up under and rub their back.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
And this is your alfalfa field back here, right?
Yes, there's 26 acres over there. And
How many bales have y'all been getting off of that?
first cutting we got about 94 or 5 bales, and then it goes down probably 10 or 20 less every cutting. It's ready to cut now.
And are y'all retaining that for your own usage, or are y'all selling that
We
too?
keep it for our own use.
There you
yes. Yep.
Alfalfa's expensive.
It is. We've got a pretty good stand of it over there.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to say how great it is to see you again. I
It's
have
great
missed
to see
you
you.
and your wife so much.
We definitely missed you too.
Aww.
Yes.
So, Sherman, thank you also for showing us around what you're doing here. Now, for those who might be interested in either asking more questions, or if you are interested in selling some maybe of that lamb, farm to table type
Yes.
of delivery, where are you located and how can people get a hold of you?
Okay, we are located in Elk Creek, Virginia, 1440 Stones Chapel Road in Elk Creek.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. It was good seeing you
Good seeing you
again.
Yes.
And you've been doing some really cool things. I'm excited for
Thanks.
y'all.
We're excited.
Yeah.
So, yes. But yeah, when you get going, you need to come back. Come on back.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for watching one of the episodes of the Bridge Podcast hosted by Emma Coffman with WE Ranch Advocacy. Y'all be sure to like, follow along, leave a comment. Let us know if you have any questions, what your thoughts are, and where we should go next. So
Yes.
Thank y'all. We'll see you next time.
Well, I hope y'all enjoyed that as much as I did. As y'all can tell, this operation, they manage it so well. They look after it with every detail. And if you are interested in communicating or purchasing anything from Summerfield Farms, their information is on our interactive map on our website as DOUBLEE ranchadvocacy.com. So y'all can contact Sherman and the crew directly. So again, my name is Emma Coffman with WE Ranch Advocacy, and you're listening to the Bridge Podcast. Now again, be sure to like and follow us on all social media. That's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, as well as keep up with our website. Like and subscribe to keep up because y'all, we have got a full plate this year. We've got some exciting places that we're going. And speaking of which, if you have an operation or if you know of an operation or subject that you would like us to cover, please reach out to us on our website. And as always, for sponsorships, we love working with companies who also want to invest in the education and preservation of agriculture. So if you are interested in becoming a podcast sponsor, please also reach out to us over our website.
Thank y'all for joining along, and we will see you next time.